Discover the incredible moment when a soldier and his K-9 saved a little girl abandoned in a sack. Jack Thompson, a former Army sergeant living in the heart of a small Midwestern town, found solace in the rhythm of his patrols with Max, his loyal K-9 partner. But today, a chill ran down his spine as he wandered the tired streets. The once vibrant town, all worn down by time and scant resources, mirrored the darkness he felt creeping into his heart. The war had wrapped him in layers of anxiety, leaving a mental fog he fought daily to navigate. As they strolled past empty storefronts and forgotten neighborhoods, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that life here was hanging by a thread. He paused, glancing at Max, whose soulful eyes offered more comfort than the deafening silence around them. "Let us keep moving, buddy," he said, forcing a smile, even as his chest tightened at the memories of combat and loss. Then, something caught the corner of his eye. In a dimly lit alley, what seemed like an oversized sack bulged out of trash-strewn remnants of a once thriving marketplace. Curiosity, tinged with a sense of foreboding, pulled him closer. He knelt down, heart racing, and tore at the fabric. The sight that met him took his breath away. A little girl, no more than 5, gasping for air, her small body curled tightly within the confines of the sack. Horror gripped Jack, the shock reverberating through him, awakening instincts he thought long buried. He wrapped his arms around her, feeling her frail form tremble against the weight of despair. "Stay with me, kid," he whispered, choking on his own dread. He raced to his feet, the world around him fading as he focused on the girl's fragile breath. Max barked at his side, a beacon of hope amid chaos. They sprinted toward the hospital, Jack's heart pounding not just from his speed, but from the fear of the unknown. Every passing car felt like a judgment, whispers of distrust echoing in his ear. "Outsider, dangerous, broken soldier, before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As news of the incident spread, whispers turned to chatter, and slowly the townspeople began to rally. In a moment of crisis, they found common ground, the fabric of a community rarely seen until now. Family bonds re-emerged, neighborly love ignited, but just as hope began to bloom, tension rose. Jack's estranged brother, a police officer with a reputation smeared by scandal, returned home. Old wounds resurfaced, forcing Jack to confront their fractured relationship amidst growing resentment and mistrust. Just as Jack felt the weight of this newfound responsibility, another truth unfolded. The girl's family was trapped in a cycle of poverty, a reflection of the fading town itself. This revelation rippled through Jack and the townsfolk, an awakening that compelled them to reassess their biases and the very meaning of community. Caught between the pull of forgiveness and the burden of expectations, Jack stood at a crossroads. The question loomed large: could he carve out a place for himself in a world that clung to fear? Or would the very prejudices he sought to challenge prove too heavy a burden to bear? The stakes were rising, and the fate of the girl rested in their hands. A gripping moment that left Jack aching for redemption and hope. Jack burst through the hospital doors, adrenaline coursing through him as he laid the little girl down on the nearest stretcher. Medical staff rushed to respond, faces etching a mixture of shock and urgency as they assessed her frail condition. The sharp smell of antiseptic mixed with the sounds of distant beeping machines overwhelmed Jack, but his focus was unwavering. He needed to be strong. "Her name is Lily," he gasped, swallowing hard as he struggled to catch his breath. "She was in a sack." The words tumbled out, raw with panic. He felt a warm hand on his shoulder, one of the nurses, a steady presence amid the whirlwind. "Stay with us, sir. We've got her," she reassured him with a nod, her voice calm and steady. Jack's heart raced, but the nurse's confidence wrapped around him like a reassuring hug. Max, still alert, stayed close, his eager eyes scanning the surroundings. It was as if the dog knew that this place was meant to provide safety, a stark contrast to the alley that birthed their nightmare. Jack knelt beside Max, resting his forehead against the dog's warm coat. "You did good, boy," he whispered, feeling a flicker of relief ignite within him. The minutes stretched on like hours, heavy with uncertainty. Jack closed his eyes, the din of the hospital fading into background noise. He thought about Lily, the haunting image of her trembling body breaking free from that sack tugged at him. She was just a child, innocent and deserving of a childhood filled with joy, not despair. The truth of her reality felt like a crack in his own armor. Suddenly, the emergency doors swung open, and in strode two uniformed officers, including his brother, Ethan. Their eyes met, a tension building between them that had lain dormant for too long. Jack felt his heart sink. He hadn't seen Ethan since the fallout tore them apart, a scandal that rocked their family and had changed the course of their lives. Ethan approached cautiously, confusion and concern battling for dominance on his face. "Jack, what has happened?" he asked, a note of emotion slipping into his voice. "Lily. She was left behind. We need to help her family," Jack replied, trying to keep the anger toward his brother at bay. This wasn't the time for their past grievances. They had a child's life at stake. "Look, I can help you with that, but first, let's make sure she's okay," Ethan said, his tone softening as he took in the gravity of the situation. Jack could see the spark of worry in his brother's eyes. Perhaps there was hope for bridge building here. Amid the chaos, more hospital staff converged, and before long, a doctor emerged, fatigue etched into her features yet determined. "She's stable for now," the doctor announced, a slight weight lifting from Jack's shoulders. "But we need to talk about her family." Heart racing again, Jack straightened. "Yes. Her family. They are struggling," the doctor continued. "We need to find out where they are. An investigation is underway, but I would suggest you get involved with the community. They may be able to help." Something shifted within Jack. A way out, a chance to mend not just the deep divides in the town, but perhaps his own relationship with Ethan. All of a sudden, the thread that had seemed so fragile before spun into something stronger. "We can create change together," Jack declared, looking between Ethan and the doctor. "It's not just about saving Lily. It's about the others like her." As they began discussing next steps, hope flickered in Jack's heart. The first weak light of dawn began to peek through the walls of hopelessness he'd built around his life. But then, a realization hit him: the true battle had just begun. What other challenges lay ahead? Would the town rise together, or would their old fears and prejudices resurface when the stakes were high? Jack took a deep breath, steeling himself for the fight ahead. Change was not easy, but it was needed, and he was ready to make that stand. But would they all stand together? As Jack stood surrounded by the frenzied activity of the ER, he could hardly process what was happening. The muffled voices of the medical staff faded into a blur as his mind raced with thoughts of Lily, and the tragic circumstances that had brought her here. He had barely taken a breath when the doctor's voice broke through his haze again. "Jack. We need your help. Can we get your phone to see if we can reach anyone who knows Lily?" the doctor asked, her urgency compelling. "Right, yes, of course," Jack replied, hastily digging into his pocket for his phone. His hand trembled as he swiped through contacts, helicoptered feelings of anxiety gripping his chest. Who could he even call? The people in his life seemed like a world away from the distress of this moment. Maybe her parents? Ethan suggested, stepping beside him. A hint of long-buried brotherly concern bubbled to the surface. "Do you have their number?" Jack hesitated, flooded with doubt. What if they didn't want to hear from him? But one look at Ethan's earnest expression softened the twisted knot in Jack's heart. Perhaps this was a sign, a chance to unite for something bigger than themselves. "I know her dad's name is Tom. I met him once at the park," Jack said, recalling a brief encounter filled with laughter and the innocence of children. A spark of hope ignited. I hope I still have the number. Clumsily, Jack navigated through his phone's address book. With a few taps, he found it, Tom's number. His finger hovered over the call button, the weight of the moment crashing down. Would the father even want to hear from him? Do it, Ethan urged, his voice steady. They were standing side by side, sharing a rare moment of solidarity. Jack took a deep breath, murmuring a quick prayer that the call would bring resolution, not chaos. He pressed the button, the phone rang once. Twice. Jack's heart pounded against his ribs. Pick up, please, he whispered under his breath. Finally, a voice answered, slightly breathless. Hello? Tom? Jack managed, his heart racing. This is Jack. I was at the park with Lily, and where is she? Tom interrupted, a note of panic unmistakable in his tone. Lily's at the hospital. She was found abandoned, but she's stable now. We're working to find you. Jack rushed through the words, desperately hoping for a thread of reassurance. There was a moment of stunned silence on the other end. When Tom spoke again, his voice cracked. How did this happen? Jack's heart ached for the father. I don't know the details, but we're gathering resources. We'll do everything we can to help you. Please, can I talk to her? Tom responded, choking on his words. We'll make sure you're connected as soon as you get here, Jack promised. Tears pricked at Jack's own eyes as he hung up, feeling the weight of despair loom over him but also the flicker of hope for a family reuniting. Ethan placed a hand on Jack's shoulder with an unexpected firmness. You did good, brother. We're not in this alone. But just then, an alarm rang out, drawing attention from the hallways. Hospital staff rushed by, voices rising with urgency as they glanced towards emergency rooms. Jack's stomach dropped. Is everything okay? He asked, a chill creeping in. Code Blue. Someone shouted, their footsteps echoing faster. Jack's mouth went dry. The next moment felt like a gray haze. The hospital appeared to pulse with tension. Was it just Lily? Were they losing her after all? Panic threatened to spiral within him, but something inside Jack kicked up and roared. We have to stay focused. There are others who need us, he said, trying to rally Ethan. What do we do? Ethan asked, his brow furrowed. First, find Lily's family and connect them. We need to step up for others who can't, Jack declared, heart racing with determination. As they pushed forward, propelled by purpose, the stakes grew sharper. But for Jack, a new thought settled heavily in his gut. What if Lily's journey was only just beginning? And darkness lurked behind their united front. The question burned at him now, a gut-wrenching knot twisting tighter by the second. Could this fight truly bring change, or would it take more than they anticipated? In the chaos of the emergency room, Jack found it hard to breathe. The looming tension wrapped around him like a heavy fog. He looked at Ethan, their determination mirrored in each other's eyes. The rush of medical professionals was like a river, carrying its own urgency, filled with hope and despair. Let us find Lily's parents, Jack said, shaking off the dread that threatened to suffocate him. They pushed through the throng, weaving past beds, nurses shouting orders, and doctors rolling in equipment. The hallway felt like a labyrinth. The echoing cries of distress mixed with the hum of medical machinery created a symphony of urgency. This way. Ethan pointed ahead, and they followed the signs toward the waiting area. It was nearly empty, just a couple of anxious faces illuminated under harsh fluorescent lights. Jack's heart sank. The tension in the air felt so thick it could cut. Where are they? He murmured, scanning the space as if his eyes could conjure them up. A woman walked in then, her eyes wide and searching. Tom. Jack quickly approached her, realizing too late that he couldn't quite remember how to break the news. But before he could speak, Tom's breath caught, and he rushed toward them. Did you hear anything? Where is Lily? His voice was raw, fear creeping in as he looked between Jack and Ethan. We've been trying to connect you to her, Jack stumbled over the words, instinctively reaching out to comfort. She's stable, but what could he possibly say to soften the blow? You'll see her soon, I promise. Tom nodded, though uncertainty shadowed his face. I don't understand how she ended up in a sack. How could someone do that? The hurt in his voice hit Jack like a blow, yet Jack could feel it in his own chest, an anger boiling, a desperate need to protect this fragile family. Let us focus on the good, Ethan countered gently, placing a hand on Tom's shoulder. We have to be strong for her. Jack glanced down the corridor, unsure how long they could endure the waiting. Each passing minute felt like an eternity. Anxiety pricked at him, nudging reminders of the darkness lurking beneath the surface, the unknown that could break them or bind them tighter. Is there anyone else we need to get? He asked, desperation creeping into his voice. No. It's just us, Tom replied, his eyes haunted, as if wrapped in a cocoon of loss and fear. Just her and me. I shouldn't have let this happen. It wasn't the time to assign blame. Jack stepped closer, putting his hand on Tom's arm. You need to know it's not your fault. We're here now, and we're going to fight for Lily. Raising his head, Tom seemed to catch a glimpse of Jack's conviction. He nodded slowly, as if trying to absorb the words. Just then, the doors swung open at the end of the corridor, revealing the doctor emerging, the tension in her posture sudden and sharp. In that moment, time hung in the balance. Please, tell us she's okay, Tom breathed, stepping forward. The doctor's expression was unreadable, but Jack could see the flicker of something in her eyes. With a steady voice, she spoke. We need you to follow me right away. There's something important we need to discuss about Lily's condition. A wave of panic washed over Jack. What was wrong? Had something changed? They barely had a chance to breathe since all this started, and now it felt like everything teetered on the edge of disaster. Stay close, Ethan whispered, his presence grounding as they followed. Jack's heart drummed furiously in his chest. Could this be the turning point? Or something far more alarming? As they rounded the corner, Jack grappled with a thought that bubbled to the surface. If they were walking toward a decision path that could change everything, what was at stake? And what would they discover about the true nature of their fight? This haunting truth gnawed at him. Behind each door they passed, behind every moment, lay shadows full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. He just hoped they were not too late to save more than just a little girl. The doctor led them down the corridor, her pace steady but the weight of the moment pressing heavily on Jack's chest. Each step felt deliberate, as if the air itself held its breath. Tom's fingers clenched and unclenched at his sides, radiating an energy of anxious hope. Ethan's eyes darted from the doctor to Tom, trying to radiate calm where there was none. They entered a small conference room, its stark walls lit by the unfeeling glare of fluorescent lights. Jack felt the door click shut behind them, sealing them in a space that suddenly seemed too small for all their unresolved feelings. The doctor motioned for them to sit, her hands resting on the table as she prepared to speak. Lily is stable, but she needs more treatment than we initially anticipated, she began, her voice steady, yet it trembled with the weight of responsibility. She suffered from hypothermia, and we're addressing the physical signs of trauma. Emotionally she paused, searching their faces for understanding. Emotionally, it'll take time. Tom inhaled sharply, the air catching in his throat. What are you saying? His voice was small, almost fragile. Jack clenched his fists under the table, attempting to channel his own emotions into something constructive: anger, worry, grief. Is she going to be okay? He pressed, unable to contain the urgency in his voice. She's a fighter, and we'll do everything we can, the doctor reassured them. But she'll need support, especially in terms of psychological care. This was a traumatic event, and we can help, but it's a long road ahead. Tom's gaze fell, a storm of emotions swirling in his eyes. I let her down, he murmured, guilt ripping through him once more. How could I have let this happen? Jack couldn't stand the heaviness that filled the room. No one could have predicted this. He exclaimed, his voice cracking. All you can think about now is how to be there for her. You need to show her that she is going to be safe with you. Ethan nodded, trying to bolster Tom with shared strength. You'll be there for her, just like we are, and that's what matters. No one can do this alone. The doctor shifted, interjecting, we're in this fight together. But I need to ask, are you both willing to be part of her recovery process? It's going to be heavy work. We'll need you both to be her advocates, her voices. Jack felt the pulse of hope in his veins. Yes. Absolutely, he replied, his heart squeezing tight. We'll do whatever it takes. She deserves that. Tom lifted his head, a flicker of determination igniting in his eyes. I will be there for my daughter. She needs me. We'll make sure Lily has everything she needs, Ethan affirmed, squeezing Tom's shoulder as if to anchor him. This is just the beginning of her healing. With their resolve renewed, they headed back to the main area of the hospital, where a flicker of worry gave way to a stolen moment of calm. This was not over. Not by a long shot. The journey ahead would require them to muster every ounce of strength, but they would do it together. As they arrived at Lily's room, anticipation flooded through Jack. He hesitated for a moment. What if she was still trapped in the shadows of her experience? What if she couldn't pull through? I'll go first, Tom whispered, steel creeping back into his voice. Jack and Ethan stood back, giving Tom space. He opened the door, peering inside, and then stepped in. Jack watched as Tom knelt by Lily's bed, a look of raw affection washing over his face despite the fear lurking in his eyes. Jack felt a sudden rush of vulnerability. Would they witness a miracle, or would the weight of what had been done to her shadow this reunion? He stepped closer, ready for whatever was next, when a small voice broke through the tension in the room. Daddy! His heart skipped, and a mixture of dread and hope flooded him. Would this moment bring them closer together or tear them apart? He held his breath, knowing everything was about to change. Daddy! The soft voice floated through the dim room, fragile yet powerful. Tom's heart wrenched with a blend of relief and sorrow. He reached for Lily's small hand, squeezing it gently. I'm here, sweetheart. I'm right here. Tears blurred his vision, and he fought to keep his voice steady. Lily's eyes, still clouded with confusion, blinked up at him. I thought you weren't coming. No, love. I'd never leave you. Not for a second, Tom assured her, the anguish in his heart twisting tighter. He knelt beside her bed, feeling the coolness of the hospital tiles beneath him and the warmth of her small hand anchoring him to the moment. Jack stood at the doorway, the weight of Tom's confession settling around him. He glanced at Ethan, who seemed equally overwhelmed. They were a team in this fight, but witnessing this reunion made every moment of uncertainty melt away into the determination to support them both. Lily's gaze searched Tom's face, and for a heartbeat, she seemed to forget the darkness. You found me? She whispered, as if the very thought of being found was a fragile hope. Always, Tom replied, swallowing hard against the threat of tears. You're my little girl. I will always find you. The air in the room shifted, filling with a palpable strength as if their love was breaking through the shadows. Jack stepped forward, closer to the bedside, wanting to be part of this fragile moment. Lily, we're all here for you. You're not alone. He offered a gentle smile, trying to balance the weight of his worries with the resolve underlying his words. Ethan, further back, took a deep breath, clearly trying to give Tom and Lily their moment. Yet, he couldn't help but admire the strength it took to confront such a painful experience. You're safe now, honey, he said, his voice soothing as he edged closer to the bed. You have a lot of people who care about you. Lily turned her gaze to Ethan, her brow furrowing slightly as her mind processed the reality that her world had changed. Is it really okay? Tom nodded vigorously, brushing a stray hair from her forehead. Yes. We'll get through this together, I promise. We'll take it one day at a time. But what if I have bad dreams? Her voice quivered, exposing the rawness of a child trying to understand her trauma. "Then we'll face those dreams together," Tom replied, determination shaping his voice. "You can tell me, talk to me about anything. I want to let you face this alone, I swear." Jack felt a swell of pride in his chest for Tom. Fatherhood had never looked so brave, nor so vulnerable. There was something miraculous about how love could adapt, grow, and fight in the darkest circumstances. Suddenly, the door creaked open wider, revealing the doctor with a briefcase full of papers. "I'm glad to see you together," she said softly. "But we need to discuss Lily's treatment plan. It's crucial we get things moving on her mental recovery." Jack, feeling an unexpected wave of anxiety rise again, exchanged a glance with Ethan. They both understood that while this moment was a start, the path ahead was still daunting. "Of course," Tom replied, his attention now divided between Lily and the serious task ahead. "We'll do whatever it takes." Lily looked from her father to the doctor, sensing the tense urgency in the air. "Will I have to go back into that dark place?" she asked tremulously, her small voice breaking. Jack held his breath, wishing he could shield her from the truth while knowing that honesty was the only path forward. But what could he say to a terrified little girl? Would the reassurance of adults be enough to lead her safely through her nightmares, or would the shadows linger long after this moment? The air thickened with unspoken fears. In a time when they needed strength and unity, uncertainty loomed. Would they rise together, or would the scars of her trauma tear them apart? Jack could sense that this was just the beginning, and he braced himself for whatever revelations were yet to come. Tom's voice softened as he held Lily's gaze, a storm of emotions swirling within him. "You're never going back there. I promise," he whispered fiercely, his heart beating with a rhythm of hope and fear intertwined. The doctor cleared her throat, drawing their attention. "We have methods that can help Lily navigate through her experiences. Therapy, nurturing support. It might be hard at first," but Lily shrank back into her pillow, the shadows returning to her wide-open eyes. "But what if it doesn't work?" The fear dripped from her words, slinking around the room like a shadow, threatening to snuff out the flicker of light they had just rekindled. Ethan stepped forward, breaking through the tension. "Lily, sometimes it takes a little time. But if you stick together, we can beat this." His smile was earnest, reflecting his desire to ease her heart. "Will you stay with me?" she asked, her small face pleading as though the presence of her father and their friends could magically make her fears disappear. "Always," Tom said, squeezing her hand tighter. "We want to leave your side, not for anything." Jack nodded, feeling his own heart ache. That was the power of love, an unyielding bond that could face down any darkness. He felt a shiver of pride again for the way Tom handled this crisis, like he had woven an armor of warmth around his child. Jack turned to the doctor, ready to take the lead in making this transition easier for Lily. The doctor flipped open her briefcase, pulling out colorful pamphlets that looked almost inviting. "I've arranged for a child psychologist to meet with her. They specialize in trauma recovery. We'll set it up at her convenience." Tom's grip tightened on Lily's hand. "Will it be scary?" "Not at all. It's just talking and gentle games. You'll play and share your feelings," the doctor explained, her voice steady and calming. "You're safe here." Lily blinked again, as if trying to reconcile the new reality with everything she had been through. "Will they make me talk about everything?" Her small voice trembled, each word falling dangerously close to tears. "We go at your pace, Lily," Jack offered, hoping to bridge the chasm of fear surrounding her. "If you don't want to share, you don't have to. Just take your time." "But what if I feel alone?" Lily looked at each of them, desperation drawing the lines on her young face. "You want to be alone," Tom stated firmly. "Not now, not ever. We're in this together." As the conversation rolled on, the doctor continued outlining the therapy plan. Jack found himself caught in the wave of emotion, admiring the bond forming every minute between Lily and Tom. Here was a father and daughter trembling at the edges of a new reality, gripping onto each other like lifelines tossed to a drowning soul. Eventually, the doctor shifted the conversation, reminding them that treatment wouldn't be an overnight fix. The road would be filled with ups and downs, successes and setbacks, and it was vital for them to be armed with patience and faith. Lily's eyes darted from the doctor back to her father, shadows still encircling her but with a flicker of defiance within her innocent spirit. "Can we be brave together?" she asked softly, hope glimmering beneath the surface. Tom's heart soared. "Absolutely. Brave is what we're made to be." Suddenly, a commotion outside the door broke the fragile atmosphere, voices rising sharply. Jack exchanged worried glances with Ethan, but before they could surmise, the door swung open. In walked a scruffy man, wearing a battered cap, and beside him trotted a large German shepherd, eyes scanning the room, alert and watchful. Jack felt a surge of curious energy ripple through the air. "Sorry to interrupt," the man said, his voice gruff yet warm. "But this here is Buddy. He might just be what Lily needs." Lily's eyes widened as she faced the dog. The shadows flickered, replaced momentarily by something electric and alive. But who was this man? And why was he bringing a dog now? Jack could feel the suspense in the air. What was the story behind his sudden appearance? Would this furry companion help lift the darkness that had enveloped Lily for so long? The questions hung thick like a cloud, primed to burst. Lily's breath caught in her throat, her wide eyes locked onto the German shepherd. Something about the dog's presence felt like magic, sweeping the shadows back just a bit. Tom moved closer to her side, shielding her as he eyed the man who had burst into their fragile moment of hope. "Buddy's a therapy dog," the man explained, his gaze warm but resolute. "He's trained to help kids just like you." He kneeled, giving the dog a gentle pat, his rough hands cradling Buddy's fluffy head. "I'm Mike, by the way, and we're here to help you feel safe." Safe, the word rolled off Lily's lips as if she were tasting a new flavor, still hesitant but intrigued. "Yeah," Tom said, glancing at Mike before returning his focus to Lily. "Safe means no worries, just love. Like what we promised, remember?" With permission from Tom, Mike gestured for Buddy to approach. The dog, tail wagging wildly, strutted over and gently nudged Lily with his nose. It was as if he understood her struggle without needing to hear it. Lily giggled, a sound so pure it felt like sunlight breaking through after a storm. She reached out, her little hand brushing Buddy's soft fur, a ripple of calm settling over her. "See? He knows you need a friend," Mike said, his tone soothing like a balm. "A real buddy." The warmth in the room began to build, slowly igniting sparks of trust. The shadows in Lily's eyes drew back a little more, her fear surrendering, if only for a moment. Jack could see the grip of anxiety loosening just a fraction, and it filled him with a surprising sense of relief. "Can he stay? Can I pet him?" Lily's words rushed out, excitement edging out her previous hesitation. "Of course. Buddy would love that," Mike replied with a smile, his rugged demeanor fading as he watched the transformation unfold. Tom kneels beside Lily, his eyes twinkling. "You're brave, Lily. Not all heroes wear capes, some have fur and 4 paws." As Lily laughed, Jack exchanged a glance with Ethan. They both felt something monumental shift in the room, as if the air itself had lightened. For the first time since arriving, he dared to believe this moment could lead Lily down a different path. Hours passed, filled with laughter and tentative explorations. An hour later, Lily was sprawled on the floor, Buddy's head resting comfortably in her lap while she traced her fingers through his thick fur. "Tell me more about Buddy," she asked, eyes sparkling with curiosity. It was a plea for connection, and it filled the space where fear once resided. Mike beamed, launching into stories of Buddy's adventures in the field, how he rescued lost hikers and comforted children after storms. Each word lifted Lily, filling her spirit with a warmth she desperately needed. But just as the atmosphere reached a new high, a ring tone shattered the moment. It was Tom's phone jangling wildly in his pocket. He silenced it quickly, a quick glance exchanged with Jack. A flicker of concern crossed his face that didn't go unnoticed. "Sorry, I need to take this." "Just 1 second," Tom mumbled, stepping out of earshot while keeping his focus on Lily. "What if he gets sad again?" Lily's voice wavered, fear creeping back momentarily as she observed her father leave. "Life can feel a little scary, but we're right here," Mike assured, leaning closer to her. "You're doing amazing, and Buddy is here to keep that smile on your face. Always." Lily nodded, though the unease still clung to her. But Jack couldn't shake the feeling that a storm might be on the horizon. Minutes passed, and Tom returned, his brow tense. "Lily, there's something I need to tell you," he started, looking serious, but before he could continue, the doctor rushed back into the room, her expression tight with urgency. Jack felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Something was amiss. "What's wrong?" he asked, fear lining his voice. "There's been an incident at the shelter," she said, and the room constricted with realization. "We need to act quickly." Lily looked between the adults, her eyes wide. "What does that mean?" Tom's look of panic felt like a jolt to Jack's gut. They had hoped for a new beginning, but now anxiety coiled around them again. What had happened? Would this throw Lily back into uncertainty? The question hung heavy in the air, creating a tension that threatened to snap. The promise of safety felt like a mirage fading before their eyes. Would they all be strong enough to face what was coming next? Tom's heart raced in his chest as the doctor's words hung heavily in the air. The hope they had begun to cultivate was slipping through their fingers, just when they had started to grasp it. Little Lily's anxious gaze darted between them, her innocence juxtaposed against the urgency swirling around her. "What kind of incident?" Tom demanded, his voice steady despite the dread pooling in his stomach. The doctor took a deep breath, her stern expression revealing the weight of the situation. "A dog attacked someone at the shelter. They're asking for help. We need volunteers to coordinate emergency care and comfort the animals, especially those that are frightened." Lily's eyes filled with fear. "But, what about Buddy? Will he be okay?" Mike knelt beside her, his hand resting reassuringly on Buddy's back. "Buddy is trained for this. He'll be okay, and we'll make sure everyone is safe." But as Jack glanced at Tom, he could see his friend was treading dangerously close to panic. "We can't let this affect Lily," Jack whispered to him, desperation in his tone. "We need to protect her, somehow." "I know," but Tom started, then stopped, conflicted. The love he felt for his daughter and the need to help left him torn. He turned to Lily. "Honey, I need to talk to the doctors for a moment. Can you be brave for me?" Lily's small face was the picture of uncertainty, but she nodded, squeezing Buddy tighter against her. "Hey, you're the strongest kid I know," Mike said, encouraging her. "You've already conquered so much today. Let Buddy help keep that smile going. We'll be right here." Leaving Lily in Mike's capable hands, Tom grabbed Jack's shoulder, pulling him into the hallway. "What do we do? If we leave now? What if something happens to her? What if she gets scared again?" Jack thought quickly, weighing their options. "Look, we can't ignore the call for help. You know that. But maybe we can get someone to watch over Lily. She deserves to feel safe, even with everything happening. We can't let her worry." Tom nodded, not fully convinced but knowing they had to act fast. "I'll go help and check on the situation. You stay with her. Keep Buddy close, okay?" Jack watched Tom dash down the corridor, a blend of admiration and worry churning in his chest. He returned to the room, where Lily sat cross-legged, Buddy resting peacefully on her lap. But her face reflected a child who felt the tremors of uncertainty. "Is my dad coming back?" she asked quietly. "Absolutely," Jack assured her. "But right now, let's focus on the good stuff. How about we show Buddy some tricks? Lily's eyes brightened at the suggestion. Can he roll over? Let us see. Buddy, you up for it? Jack called to the dog, who lifted his head, tail wagging expectantly, as if understanding every word. As they began to train Buddy, laughter seeped back into the room, a gentle balm over the gnawing worry that wouldn't leave Jack's mind. But he knew it was only a matter of time before Tom returned. He spun the idea in his mind. What if their family didn't just need to cope with fear? What if they could actually heal in the middle of chaos? Suddenly, the door swung open, and Tom rushed in, his face flushed. I just got word. His voice trembled with urgency, as he stepped closer. There's been another incident, but this one's different. It involves a little girl who was left behind. Before he could finish, panic erupted again. Jack's heart sank as he recognized the weight of the moment. Could they be facing something darker than they had imagined? The room pulsed with unanswered questions, an unseen tide pushing against the fragile resolve they had built. Would they rise to meet the new challenge, or would fear hold them back once more? The air felt charged with belief and dread alike, leaving Jack to wonder if they were strong enough to confront what lay ahead. What would Tom reveal next? Jack felt as if the room was spiraling, caught in an unsettling mix of hope and dread. Tom's urgent presence fractured the fragile calm that had settled over the space. As his brother approached, Jack caught flashes of uncertainty in his eyes, a raw vulnerability he hadn't seen in years. But they had no time to dwell on old wounds. Lily needed them both now more than ever. Tom, what do you mean? Jack asked, his heart racing. The room felt small, every breath filled with an electric tension. There's been an incident involving another child, over at the shelter, Tom said, urgency pushing the words out. We have to find her. His voice cracked on the last syllable, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily between them. Jack swallowed hard, the very idea of another child in peril ripping away the small comfort this day had offered. Then let us go help, he said, the determination in his voice buoying him up. We can't let fear take hold again. We need to find this girl. We need to keep it from happening again, whatever it takes. Tom nodded, the flicker of brotherly unity igniting between them. You stay here with Lily. I'll rally help at the shelter. We have to keep her safe. Jack's gaze drifted to Lily, still cocooned with Buddy, her small body exuding a fragile courage. She needs support. We can't let her feel alone, Jack said, his mind racing through options. I'll make it quick, Tom answered, already headed for the door. Watch over her, Jack. Of course, Jack promised, but as Tom rushed out, he felt another wave of instant dread crash over him. Would this child be all right? What if things went sideways? Turning back toward Lily, Jack took a steadying breath. Hey, kiddo, he said, kneeling down so they were eye to eye. Can you tell me what you like about Buddy? Lily's face lit up, the worry momentarily fading as she let her fingers find the thick fur of the dog's neck. He's big and fluffy. And he makes me laugh, she replied, giggling as Buddy flopped his ears lazily. Yeah, Jack chuckled, shaking his head at Buddy's vast size and even bigger heart. He's a special guy. But we need to talk about something serious too, and I need your bravery. Lily nodded, but he could still see the flicker of concern behind her eyes. Is it about my dad? Yes, it is. He had to step out for a bit to help another little girl who's in trouble, Jack explained gently. He'll be back as soon as he can. But for now, you and Buddy are my main priority. I want you to know you're safe here. You've been so brave, and that makes me really proud of you. Just then, Buddy nudged Lily again, as if sensing her apprehension. She smiled, soothed by the dog's presence. There's something about your bravery, kid, Jack continued, that means we're all going to be okay. You know that? You and your dad are a team. No matter what happens, you're not alone. I'm not alone, she repeated softly, as if trying out the words, tasting the reassurance. At that moment, Jack's phone buzzed in his pocket, breaking the silence. Pulling it out, he saw Tom's name flash on the screen, and his heart began to race again. Quickly, he answered. "Tom? What is going on?" "Jack," Tom's voice was tense, filled with urgency. "We found her. She's scared and alone, but she's alive." Jack let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "Thank God," he whispered, relief washing over him. "What do you need me to do? Can you gather some of the townsfolk? We'll need our community to rally. This girl will need all the support we can muster," Tom stated, stress etched in his tone. "Absolutely. I'll get started." Jack hung up and turned back to Lily. "Okay, my brave girl. You're going to stay with Buddy while I rally some help, all right? Will my dad be here soon?" she asked, her eyes wide. "He'll be back before you know it. I promise," Jack reassured her. "And while I do this, I want you to keep talking to Buddy. Let him know how brave you are." Steeling himself, Jack left the room and flicked on his phone, tapping into the contacts he had: friends, neighbors, anyone who would care about this little girl's plight. He sent out urgent messages, spreading the word like wildfire that their town needed to come together yet again, doing what they did best, caring for the vulnerable. As calls went out, he could almost feel the turnaround of the town. In moments, they would all come together not just for Lily or the other girl, but to reinforce the very fabric of their community, to show that they could rise from the ashes of despair and overcome the darkness. Rushing back inside, Jack caught sight of Lily snuggling deeper with Buddy, whispering secrets only dogs could understand. He knew this child was so much stronger than she realized, and just like her, their town would find its strength again. A renewed sense of optimism filled Jack as he rallied the community together. Old hurts faded into a backdrop as neighbors united, transforming their fears into a collective force for good. Finally, the moment came. The doors opened again, and Tom walked in, a little girl in his arms. Her wide eyes caught sight of Lily, and for a heartbeat, time paused. Jack held his breath, the emotion swelling inside him. Would they find comfort in each other? Would this newfound bond transform the shadows cast upon them? "Lily, meet your new friend," Tom said, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. As the little girl shyly met Lily's gaze, something sparked between them. Instantly, giggles erupted. "You like dogs too?" Lily nodded vigorously, and Jack felt the warmth of hope enveloping them. In that moment, his heart swelled. This was what it meant to be a family, a community united in love, fighting together for light and healing. "Together," Jack whispered under his breath, brimming with emotion. "We're going to be okay." And in that unity, he felt something rise within him, a determination to keep fighting not just for each child, but for himself, for Tom, and for everyone who had ever felt lost or abandoned. As a community, they would stand strong, hands intertwined, ready to mend every broken soul with the power of togetherness. This is the moment to take action. If you've been touched by this story, subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss out on exclusive tales that inspire change. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm, and your support matters. Comment below to share your thoughts and feelings about this journey. And most importantly, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. You need to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.